Happy birthday, Cancer. This is Rebecca from Being Human Tarot, and here today to present you with a 5-card reading for July 2018 that will cover where you are, your task for the month, your difficulties, your strengths, and then ultimately your goal for the month. So let's get into it. In your first position of where you are, you have the King of Cups, which is, just to see if that'll focus it better, which is a great place to be. Actually, another reading, was it the reading just before this or the reading before that, had the King of Cups as where you are, and it's just, I mean, a king or a queen is where you are is an amazing place to be. So you're starting your birthday month off very strong. You're in full control of your emotions. You're not letting extraneous things in the background get to you. You might be excited, like you're certainly still having emotions, and but you're not letting them rule you. So you have the control and the dominance of a king, and because this is a Cups card, you also have sort of like the gentle, flowing, emotional nature it's such a good pairing with the Cups energy is such a good pairing with sort of like the dominance of like the king energy, because I feel like it's the ultimate man who has, I mean, I know that the kings aren't actually so gendered, and some of the attributes that we attribute to them are kind of can be a little bit historically stereotypical about gender, but he's a man who's not afraid to show his feelings, but is also very in control of them, and that's great in whomever, right? King of Cups, he's great. So as your task for this month, you have the Ace of Pentacles. So as we know, aces are beginnings. Pentacles are an earth sign, often attributed with finances, but also the body, nature, being grounded, being practical about things. So this could be several things for your task month, and again, because it's such a broad reading for an entire sign, it's going to be different for different people, but your task could be to start pursuing a new job, looking for a new job, getting a new job. It could be getting more in control of your finances. Maybe you've been overspending a bit, and you just need to get things locked down. Start looking at your money in a new way, framing what is it that I really need? What's most important, and what are things that maybe I'm spending on but I could cut back on, that I don't need? Like, how can I refine and create a responsible budget? I know that's an ongoing life lesson for myself, so feel free there. It could also just be a new experience in any kind of earthly way, if that makes sense. Like, maybe you need to be spending more time outdoors. Maybe you just need a little bit, your task is to get out there more and walk among some greenery, like reconnect with nature. Sorry, I have something in my eye that's driving me crazy. And kind of remember and appreciate, like, especially if you're living in a city, maybe you need to take a little time for yourself and go for a hike in like the nearest mountains, or canoeing, or any of those things that speaking of city life, sorry for the noise, any of those things that just reconnect you and ground you with the natural world around us, because sometimes that can be incredibly therapeutic through task at hand. In terms of your difficulties this month, you have the Six of Cups. That focuses. Never know what focuses well. The Six of Cups is an interesting card. I feel like sometimes I draw cards and I have a pretty consistent reaction to them. And then there are some cards that I feel differently about almost every time I pick them. And the Six of Cups is one that I have a lot of different feelings about. In particular, in a position, in a spread where this is in a difficulty position, I would almost say that two things occur to me. One is, and this is the one that like I come back to a lot, and I don't hear a lot of other people, a lot of other readers use this, so maybe it's a little bit of a projection of like my own personal stuff, but maybe you have some unresolved stuff from being a kid. I mean, we all do, right? So it's just a matter of when it crops up, the extent of it, and all of those other factors. So maybe your difficulty this month, particularly as a birthday month, because one thing that not everyone celebrates birthdays in the same way. I love birthdays, and yes, they do make me feel, they do stir up a lot of feelings that aren't just like 1000% excitement, but a lot of people really don't like their birthdays. Like a lot of people don't, and that's fine. But maybe if you're one of those people, there's it's kind of reminding you of the past. It's reminding you of being a kid when just because of aging and growing, like maybe you're looking back and thinking about a particular time that you weren't very happy as a child, like some memories that are hard. Maybe your parents, weren't the most affectionate or caring or like acknowledged your existence for birthdays, and so you've never cared for them, and so that could be a difficulty. I mean, that would be a difficulty for you for sure this month if that's the case. So the other thing that occurs to me beyond kind of like dealing with our pasts, in particular our childhood pasts, and all the complications that go into those stories, is perhaps if you're someone who's been trying to conceive, whether a man or a woman, and you've been having a really hard time, maybe this is something that is all the more present in your mind this month as you're celebrating your own birth, and longing for the family that you've been trying to create and not been, succeeding with so far, which can be very challenging, can be very painful when that's something you want for your life. So your difficulty this month is definitely, it's some kind of childhood association. However, your strength for the month is, and I love this for so many of the readings I've been doing for July, 4 of the cards have been minor arcana, and then the strength has been a major, which is kind of like the best place I think that you would want, because where you are is temporary, your task for the month is temporary, your difficulties and your goal, those are all temporary things, but your strength is just sort of like, that's who you are. And so if you have a major arcana strength, that's pretty encouraging. So your strength is the moon. And the moon is a great card. It's a weird card, I will say, in that there's a lot going on. If you look at the card up close, you can see there's a couple of howling dogs, there's a lobster crawling out of the water. The moon itself has a face that looks sort of discouraged, just kind of like frowning and looking down. There's also like little moon rays that are falling down. It's just, there's a lot going on in this card. And it's really kind of, and it's often read as fear, right? As being like the moon comes out and the darkness, things aren't as clear. It's not like sort of like its polar opposite, which would be the sun, right? Where it's like shining and joy and like everything's great. The moon is, things are kind of unknown, it's mysterious. These dogs are discontent and howling. What is the lobster even? It's a lot of stuff that can often be associated with fear of the unknown. But in a strength position, I think it's pretty powerful because you're not, sorry, there's a little bit of outside noise. But so it's in a position of strength. It's like you are not letting yourself get swept up into, doubtful thoughts, fears of the unknown. Maybe, you're not afraid of what this new task that you have to do. You're like, oh, what is that? If it's a new job, like, am I afraid of a new job? What's going on there? You're not afraid of whatever this energy is, this childhood energy that is in your position of difficulty. So you really, even though you have some hard stuff, nothing you can't overcome, nothing completely overwhelming, but you have some stuff this month that, isn't the easiest. And so with the moon as your strength, it's really like, sure, those kind of lower level, not necessarily lower level, depending, not to be diminishing, but sure, there are these things going on that can be scary, but you're not afraid. Like, you have control. Also, don't forget, you're the King of Cups this month, and so, paired with the moon as a strength, this is a great combination for having the tools you need to overcome anything that's challenging. So, and then finally, your goal for this month, you have the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight of Pentacles is a very careful guy. I believe of all the knights, he's the only one who his horse is completely immobile. Like, he's just standing there, he's looking forward, he's holding his pentacle, and the horse has not even lifted a foot. And it's because he's protective of sort of his life, his direction, and he's careful. He's very slow moving. And so your goal for this month is really to, take your task at hand. It's also a pentacle, right? And pursue it, and, don't just pursue it at the pace of a turtle, but the message is you don't have to rush. You can take your time on this. You've got time. And sometimes, I know I used the turtle reference, but there's also the slow and steady wins the race, which is the whole tortoise and the hare story. So maybe that's what you need this month. Maybe you need to go a little bit slower, back up, make sure that what you're doing is exactly what you want before going forward, and then just proceed with like calm assurance, right? Calm assurance, assessing all of your emotional needs, you know, not being afraid, and then you're gonna have, I think, a great birthday month. You're gonna, you know, it might not be the most like explosive in terms of like new things happening, but you do, I mean, like the Ace of Pentacles, that's something new that's happening, and that could be pretty exciting depending on how that ends up manifesting in your life. So yeah, it's a chill but a positive birthday month, and I hope that you celebrate it in whatever way that you enjoy, or don't celebrate if you don't enjoy. But birthdays are always a lot of fun. So happy birthday again, Cancer. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon next to subscribe, then you'll get notified as soon as we upload a new video, which we do before the 1st of every month, so that you'll have the whole month ahead to see what to expect for that month. And with that, I will go, and I'm gonna pause this and then pan so you can actually see the full reading, because I know sometimes a little bit is lost when I'm just like holding up each card but not showing the entire thing. So that's it. Bye, Cancer. Happy birthday. That. So there you go. Have a wonderful July, Cancer. See you next month.